You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount off your first 3 months with them to all our listeners. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, then follow the link in the show notes today. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Female Founders. Today I am delighted to welcome Helen Tudor to Female Founders. Helen is a celebrated LinkedIn expert and entrepreneur renowned for her innovative approaches to generating leads and income on LinkedIn. Over the years, Helen has revolutionised the way many business owners utilise LinkedIn, demonstrating how to effectively use the platform to grow your business. Helen, welcome to Female Founders.
Yeah, I don't know. Did we write that? Did you write that? I don't know, but it makes me sound very, very, very good. So thanks for that.
I wrote that.
It makes me sound. I don't know. I'm worried that we've set the bar a bit high there, Claire. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited for today.
No, well, I've personally used your services previously, so I can vouch for the fact that you did indeed revolutionise how I use LinkedIn back in the day.
Oh, really? So tell me about that then. How did I revolutionise the way that you use LinkedIn?
Well, I think LinkedIn has a really bad reputation, doesn't it? And I think although it has changed a lot over the last few years, that reputation is still there in regards to it's all about recruitment and spamming into inbox and things. And I think it might have been 2020 that I came across you. And I don't know how you turned up in my world, but you did, with your bottles of wine and your silk pajamas. And I did one of your challenges, 5-day challenges, and it just I think there was a lot of fear around LinkedIn for a lot of people that it's really stuffy and
Yeah.
corporate, and I am none of those things, and it
Hey.
gave me the confidence that actually I can be myself on there and I don't have to fit into the stereotype I believed was on there.
Yeah.
So
Very common. I tend to avoid telling people what I do at parties because I don't want to hear how they hate LinkedIn and it's a load of rubbish and they just get spammed all the time. So I just go, oh yeah, I'm in a training business, and then
yeah.
But yeah, it's true. LinkedIn's definitely had a reputation, and I think because I loved it and embraced it and it delivered such great results for me so early on, it's almost like my mission, if you like, is to educate the world that like it's a safe space for you to come and be yourself and make loads of money and have lots of fun and meet great people, and it's not everything that I think other people maybe believe it to be.
No, I think it was once upon a time. I think
Maybe.
that's what it used to be, but I definitely think it's one of my favourite platforms now. But tell me, how did you get into this world? Is there a pivotal moment or person that that time that put you on this path? Did you always expect to be in the LinkedIn world? How did it come about?
Definitely not. Not something I thought I was going to be when I grew up. No, I didn't as a little girl think, oh, I want to be a LinkedIn person. Like, in fact, I don't even like calling myself a LinkedIn expert because I'm definitely not. I don't know everything there is to know about LinkedIn for sure, but there was two real pivotal moments. The first was when I sat, if anyone's done a challenge, you'll have heard this story, so I'll keep it brief. But yeah, sitting in my car, having just been in the shop with the children, taking it cash in. So I was working as a reflexologist, so I had £20 cash. Well, in I went with that money. Added, my math's not great, so I didn't add up my shopping right. Had to put it back because I had no access to any finance or any funds. So I was in about 90 grand's worth of personal debt, and I was on the verge of losing my house. And it was that moment of sitting in the car, that real realization, really, that Nobody's coming to save me. And I
Yeah.
was just absolutely sick of being broke and being in that mindset of like, poor me, it's hard for me because, and in that whole victim mindset of all these bad things have happened to me and it's not my fault and it's I've got all this, and instead I was like, there's only me that's going to get out of this. And the only way I'm going to get out of this is by making a lot of money very
Mhm.
quickly. Like I've got a GMVQ advanced, which is the equivalent to 2 A levels. But I do not have a lot of qualifications. I don't have a specific skill set really. And I was like, I'm just going to have to build, I'm just going to have to make a business. I'm just going to do something that I like, and I'm going to do something I can work around the kids, and I'm going to start making some proper money. And proper money to me then was like my want to earn figure, which is something that I teach, but my want to earn figure was like 2.5 grand a month. To me, that was mind blowing amount of money. Like it was just absolutely, I couldn't even imagine what life would be like if I started hitting those targets.
Mm.
And I really, that's when I decided, right, I want to earn 2.5 grand a month. I want to have 10 clients pay me £250 a month. I'm going to do social media. That was my business plan. I literally wrote it on a piece of paper. So again, something that I teach now with my business clarity in a day. It's like, what do you like doing? Like, how much money do you want to make? How many clients do you need to hit that target? Like, and that was basically it. So then the big pivotal moment then was when I opened up my very creaky old laptop and searched for business networking, because then this is like 15 years ago nearly now. So then it was
Mm.
like everyone went to networking. That's how you got clients. And I was really in a pickle with that because I was a single mum, I had no money, and my mental health was like on the floor. My confidence was really low. And I couldn't imagine going to a 6 a.m. networking meeting, paying £15. I couldn't get there. I couldn't afford it. I mean, £15 would, that's like the kids' lunches for the week, It just
Yeah.
was out of the question. And I couldn't face it. The thought of standing up and talking in front of people was just out of the question. Which is funny now when you think I speak on stages like all over the world
Yeah,
in
that's
front of
what you
like
do now.
tens of thousands of people. But anyway, um, I just couldn't see how that was going to work for me. And I think maybe one of the first when I searched business networking, I looked at some local networking that just wouldn't work for me, usually made by men for men. And
Mhm. Yeah.
and then LinkedIn came up. Never heard of it, never seen it, never didn't know what to do with it. I'd not had a career, so I'd never used it for a business. I'd sort of had jobs that I'd got through the local paper and things like that. And then I trained as a reflexologist when I had the kids. So I didn't know that world as a user. And I just
Mm.
used it that day in exactly the same way I teach it now, 15 years on. Like it was literally, how can I make this profile talk to these 10 clients I need to get? So how can I write a profile that talks to this client I want to get?
Mhm.
How can I be really clear of what I want to get out of the people who are reading it? Like what's in it for them? Who do I want to work with? What's in it for them? What's the outcomes I'm going to deliver? How much am I going to charge? I had no concept of like, don't tell people your prices, get them on calls and all that. That was just not a thing for me. So very explicit in what I wanted people to do. Then I went and connected with all the local business owners I could find, and very quickly, clients started coming to me and saying, "Oh, you're great. It's £250 a month. Like, how do we get started?" So that was a real pivotal moment. And then that business grew, and it gave me money beyond my wildest dreams. I was making my 2.5 grand a month and beyond. I was running this digital agency, as we called it then. Although it was still just me and a couple of freelancers. We grew
Mm.
that business up though to about 11 staff at one point, offices and
Wow.
everything. And we did a lot with. We were working with big organizations because of the way I was using LinkedIn. Having a profile that talked to my ideal client, putting out content, engaging with people publicly, growing my audience every day, and specifically knowing who I wanted to connect with. So then I was looking for HR directors. We're working with really good clients. And the second real pivotal moment, and I definitely owe this man a pint, I was actually at a business networking event. So we've moved on in time here. I'm a lot more confident. I'm running this agency. I've got, money and
Yeah.
all the rest of it. I was quite well known on the networking circuit, if you like, rightly or wrongly, not always for the right reasons. But anyway, I was sat in, a nondescript golf club and eating another full English. And this guy said to me, "Helen, how are you getting these clients? Like, you're working with all these amazing clients, big blue chip clients that people were, really struggling to get in front of." And I said to him, "Oh, I just do these 3 things every day on LinkedIn." And I'm very specific about who I want to connect with and what outcomes I deliver and how much I charge, and it's all there for them to see. And just do these 3 things a day. And I'd actually drew it out on a napkin. I wish I still had that. I feel like that would have been,
That would be
one for the
get it
memory
framed
box,
on the
yeah,
wall.
like,
Yeah.
like an NFT, like the original, the original strategy. And it's never changed since. So I
Mm.
gave him that piece of, like, tissue, and off he went. And he was like, that is not how LinkedIn works though, because, what's your strategy? What's your scripts? What is your DMing and all the rest of it? And then off he went. And then the next time I saw him, he was like, guess what? And I was like, what? I knew exactly what he was going to say. He was like, I did what you said and it worked. Like, I had a client come to me the first time ever. And I was like, yeah, I know that's how it works. I had no idea that everyone didn't use LinkedIn like this. And he said to me, you don't understand that this strategy is so simple and so effective. Like, he said, I've done loads of LinkedIn training. I've done all the courses. I've been on all the programs. I've done all the YouTube. I've read all the books. I've even done training with LinkedIn itself. And I've never had a lead from LinkedIn.
Wow.
This has completely transformed the way that I show up on LinkedIn, the way that I feel. It feels fun, it's easy, and it's really enjoyable. And he said the magic words, really, which is, you need to teach this. And I'd not even
Mm.
thought about teaching it. I'd not even considered it. I really need to find this man and buy him a drink. I can't remember who it was. I know it was at Warrington Golf Club. So hopefully, if I keep telling this story, the guy will remember
One
this.
day it will
Yeah,
get back to
come
them,
back
yeah.
so I can interview him, and like we can. I mean, I definitely owe him big time. So that was a big pivotal moment where I shifted from done for you services into teaching,
Yeah.
and from then on, I just loved it. I still love it now. Like, this is 7 years ago, and even now, I just love talking about it. I love teaching it. I love people's reaction when they realize how easy it can be, and I love the results that people get. So yeah, so since then, last 7 years, we've been building the group program, the LinkedIn Mastermind, and it's just been absolutely wild ride. Yeah, 2,000 paying clients this year we hit, which was a big
That's
milestone for me.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
it's been great.
Congratulations.
Thank
But I
you.
think what's really interesting about that story is that you went into LinkedIn with, no knowledge of the reputation that it had, of the
Mm,
types of businesses. You went in a complete newbie and fresh eyes to it.
yeah.
And because of that, you didn't have any of the reservations that so many of us have.
Mm,
Um, and what I really like about the way that you teach how to use LinkedIn, and just in business in general, you just strip all of the fluff and noise out, like just cut all of the crap out,
yeah.
make it very simple. These are the 3 things that you need to be doing in business. This is my plan, X, Y, and Z. I need this amount of clients by this amount. Like, everything is so straightforward, black and white, and simple with you. And I think in today's world, that's actually quite rare and refreshing, because there are so many business coaches and mentors and, a million people teaching LinkedIn and all the other things.
Yeah.
But so often there's huge amounts of noise and not actually that much content. And
Yeah,
I
well, this
think,
is this is it. So one of the things I didn't realize about myself is that I'm very direct. Now, I've
yeah,
just gone through my life, just living my life. No one had ever given me any feedback, because they don't do it, right? I don't
no,
had a marriage breakdown, and he wasn't so keen, and but through my life, no one had ever really, day to day, we don't give each other feedback, do we?
no.
Particularly. So when I went online, and my trajectory was stratospheric, really. When I look back, it was down to a couple of things: my style, which was quite unusual, although I didn't know it, and my absolute determination to make it work. I
Mhm.
just literally, I saw that another program that I joined, she'd had 2,000 students, and I just paid $1,500, and I thought, that's millions of pounds, like, or millions of dollars. Like, if that's possible for her, it's possible for me. And I just had that in my
Yeah.
focus. So everything I did every day was to get in front of more people. So I did hundreds and hundreds of guest experts, hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, hundreds and hundreds of free hours of free training. I've done hours and hours and hours of free webinars, free guest experts in people's groups. Like, I wanted to educate and inform as many people as possible. But what happens when you get in front of a lot of people is you get a lot of feedback, whether you ask for
Yeah.
it or not. And the feedback, so some people love me, some people hate me, but the overwhelming sort of feedback is like, you're very direct. And I didn't even know that was a personality style. And I think the feedback I get in my mastermind days and things like that is like, you make things seem really simple.
Mhm.
and you really focus on the important things. Like you said, like there's loads of advanced stuff that you can do in business. There's loads of, I run very complex funnels and landing pages, and we've got ads running, we've got challenges, we've got all of these things going on. But 90% of the people that I meet that are particularly in year 1 to 3 don't need any of that stuff. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
just need to get really clear and focused on who's their ideal client. Well, number one, how much money do you want to make? And people don't start there. They kind of end there of like, oh, I made this much money this year, instead of having that as the number one thing. So
Yeah.
having clarity on how much money we're trying to make here, because everybody's numbers are different, and no judgment on your numbers, right? But real clarity on what are we trying to achieve here. Then what do we love to do? Again, most people do that in the wrong order. So how much money do you want to make? What do we love to do? Who do we love to work with? Then let's create an offer.
Yeah.
Let's create a business around that. Like, I don't really believe in building businesses. I believe in creating great offers, because that seems a lot less overwhelming and stressful than this whole business. It's like, just make offers. Like, make offers, create things that people want to buy, ask them if they want to buy it. If they do, make it, but don't make it first. Make sure you've got people want it first before you make it. Because
Put that
again, I
time
see,
investment in.
yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
in the procrastination station of building a course, or like when I did the LinkedIn mastermind, I was like, I had a tax bill to pay. And I was like, oh God, I need to make some money. So I was like, I'm going to do this as a group program, because I've done so much one-to-one.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested, I'm going to call it the LinkedIn Mastermind. So don't care what, exactly. It's got a terrible name. It's not even a true mastermind. It's a big group program. But anyway, so called the LinkedIn Mastermind. It's going to be £300. And, 8 people put their hand up, including Elsevine, who's still in the program now and is an ambassador and everything, which is great. She's one of the OGs. And I didn't think of it past that. And I recorded the videos as we went,
Mm.
and now we've just, we've re-recorded those videos since. We've just redone the challenge with like new videos and everything, because the videos were like 5 years out of date. So I was a different person. I look a different person. I've changed totally as a person, but they did a great job, for
Yeah.
years as well. And I think it's just doing things, selling things, delivering things, and then getting them tweaked and perfect later is something that I wish more people took my advice on, because you can spend a lot of time and money making things that people might not buy.
Yeah. So my motto in life is progression, not perfection.
Yeah,
So I just move forward every day.
yeah,
And if I tried to make sure that everything I did was to the top perfect level, I
yeah,
would never move past that step, because perfection is not real. It doesn't exist. It's
yeah,
unachievable. So yeah, just keep moving forward. And I think often when we talk about money and people putting a figure on, their goals,
yeah.
so often people just say, "Oh, 6 figure, 100 grand or whatever," and they
I
just
just need
literally
enough. I
pluck.
just want enough. I just want enough.
Yeah,
That's what I hear all the time. How much money do you want to make? I just want to make enough so I can pay my
yeah,
mortgage and my. It's like you're always going to make just enough. So you're
yeah,
always going to be in that like hustle of need to make enough just to cover my costs. Like, what if you had more than enough? What if you had what you consider to be like an outrageous amount of money? Like, and this is
mhm,
the words people use, just to me. It's like obscene, it's like ridiculously expensive, like really watching your language around money. And that's the big part of what I did, was the money mindset work. In fact, the
yeah,
program that I referenced before was Denise Duffield Thomas, and I credit her massively with my money mindset improvements, but also with the inspiration of the way that she runs a business, because she's
mhm.
very good with she just sells one thing, all roads
Yeah,
lead to that
very
one
clear on
thing.
her message.
Very clear on messages. She isn't just doing new things all the time. She's always like, she's stuck to the same thing. So
Mm,
although I have got other offers and things, and I try different things, because otherwise I'd get probably just die of boredom if I did absolutely nothing else. But my core message has always been the same, which is Helen Tudor, or Helen Pritchard as was, LinkedIn. Those
yeah,
two things have to go hand in hand. And I'm very aware that you cannot get the authority that I've got in this niche without doing it nonstop, full time, 7 years, without a break. And I think a lot
yeah.
of people, they want the authority, but they don't want to become time served and do the time. It's like
Leave it time.
it's a sentence, right? And
Yeah,
some days do I not want to talk about LinkedIn? Actually, not many, but occasionally maybe I might. I'm just I do guest experts to this day. Sometimes I show up, there's no one there, but I just
mm,
deliver it like there's a million people watching and I'm getting paid £1 million, because basically over the last 7 years I am, aren't I? So it's just
Yeah.
part of the process. And I think a lot of people compare my year 7 with their year 1 and think, you
I
know,
think this is a huge problem with a lot of people,
yeah,
when you, for instance, were looking at Denise, back then and you did her course,
yeah.
you you did the right thing in that you didn't compare yourself in that moment. "Oh, look what she's achieving, and look, I'm
Mm,
nowhere near that." You just used it as inspiration and motivation to get yourself there, and that's how we should all work. But so often people forget actually, and there's the overnight success thing as well, isn't there? Like,
yeah.
you popped into my world in 2020, and so to me, suddenly, you were everywhere because once you're
Mhm.
in someone's world,
Yeah,
you just pop up all the time,
yeah,
don't you? So suddenly I'm like, "Who is this woman?" And she's an overnight success. Suddenly she's here, but you've done years of work before that. And I think that's the bit that people often forget. It's
yeah.
not overnight, it's years and years of hard work where you're not getting that huge, authority in the space and awareness. And then suddenly the traction starts happening and then
It
you
does,
are,
it
recognizable.
absolutely does, and, like, your reputation is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? And to
Yeah,
get a reputation where people your name is synonymous with something takes a lot of exposure. And people say exposure doesn't pay the bills, but it definitely does. Because
yeah,
I've made millions of pounds and my strategy has always been exposure, exposure, exposure. Like,
yeah,
how can I get in front of more people? How can I show up? Like, I don't charge for doing guest experts. I don't charge for speaking on stage. I don't pay either, just in case anyone was
yeah.
thinking, like,
Very important.
definitely don't pay to speak on stages, and that's fine. No judgment if people do. But my has always been free or premium, pretty much. It's like I
Mhm.
want to give everything away for free. I don't hold things back. A lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, I gave too much away, and that's not why people didn't buy from me, like on a
Yeah,
challenge or a webinar." But the truth is, you're not giving enough away. That you got to give it all. Well, in my opinion, other opinions are available. My opinion has always been, how can I educate as many people as possible so that they can get the best results as possible, and then a percentage of those people will want to invest in working with me on a deeper level, whether it's joining the program or working with me privately, right? So
yeah,
it's always been like a scale game. Now, again, that's not for everybody. Other people might just want to just quietly just get 10 to 15 clients, paying them, you know, a grand, 2 grand a month. So they've got a nice lifestyle business and they're not having to do all the volume stuff that I do. You're not having
mm,
to do loads of challenges and spend big on ads and, you know, invest in all the funnels and everything. I want to do that because I'm on an education mission and an impact mission, not just on a money mission. There's loads of easier ways to make money than running a big group program, trust me.
yeah.
Ask me how
But I
I
think
know.
it
It's
comes
not
with
for
stages
everyone.
in your life as well, because, in this none of this was how you when you started in business, you were just want enough to
Yeah.
support my family and have some extra. And as your success has grown and your business has grown, your goals have grown and that's how it should be until you are content, fully content and happy and exactly where, you feel like you want to go. And that could never happen. You could always see the growth happening.
This
But
is it. And
it's a very personal journey.
one of the things I've definitely learned, and I've totally mellowed, like in the 7 years, the first few years I was just insane. Like I was quite hard faced. I was very determined. I was like a single mom. I was very much like on the grind. You know what I mean? I was just like,
Yeah.
it's my way. Like, come with me or forget it. Like, just this is the way to do things. Now, I mean, I've fallen in love and blended a family, and we've got a house. I'm a bit softer generally,
Mhm.
but now I'm very much like my way isn't the only way. Like, there's loads of ways to make money, and there's loads of ways to have a great time making money.
Yeah.
But also, I want you to be inspired, not by what I've done. Like, I want you to be impressed by what I've done, if that makes sense, because
Yeah.
it's quite impressive, right? It impresses me when I look back and I think, how on earth, when I write it out, I'm like, how on earth have I done that? In terms of like audience growth and scale.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I look at it, I think, wow, if you'd have told 7 years ago me that's what I was going to achieve, that would have been mind blowing for me. So there's part of me like I want people to be impressed or like
Yeah.
inspired, I suppose is the word. Um, but actually, I also want you to learn from some of the stuff that I've done and think, have I got what it takes to do that? And
Mhm.
if not, that's okay, because it's tough. It's really, really tough. And yeah, my motto is like, it's just for now, not forever. And I think that comes with goals as well. Like if
Yeah.
when I set my goal to make 1 million in a year, I said it out loud on a Facebook Live on the 1st of January, and I felt physically sick. So I think I'd done about think I'd done about 280 the year before. So it was a massive jump.
Wow.
Yeah, I think something like that. It's a massive jump. And I felt so sick, but I was ready to push myself massively out of my comfort zone and hold myself
Yeah.
public accountable. That works for me. Doesn't always work for everyone else. And then when in 2021, I made a public declaration that I was going to scale everything back because I had loads of stuff going on with my kids and that. So it's like you decide, it's almost like you set the intention and then the
Yeah.
things happen after that. It's not as easy as saying, I want to make 1 million. I didn't say I want to make 1 million on that first day. It was like, I want to make 2.5 grand a month, right? Then it was, I want to do a 6-figure year. Then I wanted to do 200 grand. Yeah. It's
Exactly.
like, I think you've got to step into each version of you and also know
Yeah.
it's okay to step back. It's not growth at all costs. That's what I learned. It's like just before lockdown, I was on a business class flight with Phil Harrison. We'd just done 1 million. And I think we'd made 2 million over the 3 years or whatever. And we were like, drinking, stood at the bar upstairs in the A380 and like just ching ching, everything's going to be amazing. And then we're going to do 5 million next year. Now, if lockdown hadn't happened and we'd have pushed on with that plan, two things would have broken: the business and me. Like,
Yeah.
I just know it would. We just didn't have the
Too
infrastructure.
much.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just wouldn't have had it. Would have just, so we've had to come right back down, and now we're like back on the scaling journey. But it's not, like I'm saying, it isn't for everybody. A lot of people look at group programs and memberships and things like that. I think that's the easy option, and it's absolutely not. In my opinion, the easy option is one-to-one.
Yeah.
High ticket, low volume, be a specialist, not a generalist. Just get some really great clients and you can have a really nice life,
Yeah.
and things like VIP days. I love doing them. I love teaching people to build them because, again, a lot of us with kids and things. So I charge 5 grand for a VIP day. Well, if I do one of those a week, that's a great little
Yeah.
side
I mean, that's
side
huge,
hustle
isn't
income
it?
for me.
Yeah.
Working one day a week. I've got one day to worry about what the kids are doing, one day to worry about the dog, one day to put my heart and soul into a client, and I know they'll get a return on that investment. But from a business side of point of view, it's like, do one of those a week. That's a 20 grand month, and I'm only working one day a week. Like, it's you know,
No-brainer, really. But that's
yeah,
because you've put the time in previously to build yourself up to the level where you can achieve that.
yeah, of course,
Um, Through all of these years and the growth, because you've seen some rapid growth, and like you say, and then you've scaled it back, you've been in control of it. What challenges have you faced as the business has grown?
Oh, so I'm actually working on a new product at the moment called Launch Performance Coaching
Hmm.
and Launch Energetics. And I don't know where this is going to lead me, whether it'll lead me to millions or to just closing it quietly, which I do a lot with my offers. Because I'm like, I don't really enjoy doing that, so let's do something else. But launch, like, energetics is the challenge, I think. With
Hmm.
scale and growth, strategy takes you so far, and energy is what moves the needle. Like how you perform when
Yeah.
you show up for your business. And I didn't really realize that, how I created that in my business and created that for myself, until it went away.
Yeah.
And I had a launch that didn't perform. And I was like, what is the lesson from this launch? And for me, it was that we had everything, we've got everything you could ever want. It's a money making machine. And we spent 10 grand on ads and we made 50 grand. So we still made money. But the
Yeah.
last launch, we spent like 6 grand on ads, made 100 grand. So this is like, it's all relative to where I'm at. But what was
Mm.
really different is I wasn't 100% in my Beyonce energy. I
Okay.
was tired, I was injured, so I train a lot, I kickbox, and I run and I go to the gym only because I eat and drink a lot. Otherwise, I'd be ginormous. But when I say
Keeping a
that amount of
balance.
exercise down, people think. Um, but I was injured. I wasn't very well. There's, again, some
Mm.
stuff going on, and I just hadn't done all the things that I normally scaffold around myself to make sure I can perform at highest like volume. So that's a real challenge. I think that it's like one of those things that I wasn't expecting because I'd always just performed and I thought it was something
Yeah.
natural in me. But actually, now I'm doing this energetics framework, I can see what actually structures around to make me perform at my best. So that was like one thing. The other challenge for me is the up levels. So, and this is to do with people and the people around you and the team that you have. So I've worked with loads of amazing people in my business and some not so great. And we've had some that haven't worked out, some that have. And it's very difficult to create a team that will stay with you through every stage of growth. Because
Yeah.
every time you go to that next level, and let's just use numbers because it's easy. You go from naught to six figures. The team that takes you there will not be the team who can really take you to that 250K or half a mil or straight up. It's like everything has to up level every time. So you need
Yeah.
to up level your systems, your processes, your customer service, your finance, your team, your operations, your marketing, and then you have to up level every time. And I found that really hard because I thought I'll build a team and we'll just stay together forever, you
They'll
know?
be your core team and carry you all the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll create this thing together. But what happens is people don't want to, they just don't want to perform at that level. It's the going gets tough, right? I found that really challenging. I'm not a very good people leader.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not very good at scaffolding around what I'm trying to say in a nice way. Like my VA, Nat knows this. There's no like, oh
No
hi,
sugarcoating with
yeah,
you.
did you have a nice weekend? It's da da da. It's like, why is this in my diary? And what happened with that? And da 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 da. So I think
Yeah.
you got to know how to deal with me. I think, I suppose. But also just other people around me, particularly when I got very successful, were very keen to be a part of it.
Right.
And rates maybe reflected that, and I've helped a lot of people along the way. I've also upset a lot of people, so I'm not like some saint, but I think I've helped a lot of people. When people come and work on my team, I know that makes them more desirable to their next contract, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've helped as many people as I possibly can, but sometimes it's felt a little bit like personal, with team.
Yeah.
So that I'd say that's been a bit challenging. And I did say, because at one point, again, I grew to maybe 5 or 6 paid, employed. And when we shrunk back down and we just got the foundations right again, I said I didn't want to build a big team again. I'd rather use freelancers. But then you've got the problem of freelancers got other clients and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
I haven't got an answer to that challenge other than it's challenging building a team to take you through every level.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter what industry or profession that you're in. I
Mm.
think the at the end of the day, the workplace becomes a very different place with each, up level that you go through. And
Yeah.
when people just don't want to work in a large, hectic company, they like the really small, family feel business. And so I think there's so many things, whether their skills just can't take them that far, or that's actually just not what they're desiring to
Oh,
be
no, it's
involved
also
in.
not what they signed up for, really. I signed up
Yeah,
for a team of
exactly.
3 people, and now there's 15 people, and I've got a manager, and I've got performance reviews, and that's not how we did it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We did it scrappy. Now we're trying to do it properly, and now I guess we're back to doing it scrappy. Like, can we not do team? We don't need team meetings. We've got WhatsApp. So, like, there's a bit of that, and there's a real resistance in me to
Yeah.
build a proper business, if that makes sense. I like to
This is
trust what I've got
a
with what I've got.
topic everybody I speak to, no matter what size they are, it's always this area of business that people struggle with the most. It's always around staff. And actually, a lot of people I've been speaking to recently have all said the same, that actually they're stripping back employed staff
Yeah.
and they're going to freelancers because there's a lot less pressure, there's more flexibility. Um, but like you say, on the downside of that is that you're not their whole attention. They've got other clients to service. So yeah, it's a really difficult one, but one that I think across all industries and size of businesses is an issue, unfortunately. And the problem is there is no sort of magic wand or golden nugget that anyone can tell us. It's all,
I know. If I crack that, I'll be a trillionaire,
yeah,
basically.
then
Yeah.
get that on a napkin and send that to me first, please.
But at the same time, like, the people are what make it such a great, enjoyable ride, you know?
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
our first million, like, imagine if it was just me,
Yeah.
it wouldn't feel the same. So in a way, it's like anything, isn't it? It's good and bad on anything. And it's the same with the other real challenge that I found is that have to understand that not everyone likes you. And although people, I'm very much like,
Yeah.
it's fine. You can't have one with the other. People love you or hate you, but you can't be for everyone and all that. But that's all just platitudes because actually it's horrible when people don't like you. Like,
Yeah.
really horrible. When people say horrible things about you or they don't like you as a person or they don't think that you're a good person or they don't think your product's any good, it hurts. Like, it hurts.
Yeah.
I've probably shed more tears in this business than any more because it's so public.
This is the
It's
problem.
so
I think
public.
people can they can say things that are about, your LinkedIn trainings or about your business and the service that you provide, but so often they take it to a personal level, and that's completely unnecessary, but also that's where it breaks through the armor, doesn't it? And it
Yeah.
becomes personal, and that
Yeah,
can be really difficult to handle.
it is difficult. And now both my daughters work for themselves, particularly my eldest Katie. She runs her own business, and but when she gets like negative feedback from a client, I'm like,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
feels a million times worse than me getting it. You know, it's
Mm.
everything I can do not to like go mad. Because it's like, oh, I get negative feedback and I don't enjoy it. Like, let's be honest, I don't enjoy it. And anyone who says they don't care, I think is probably lying. I think you get more resilient to it for sure. But yeah, my daughter gets it, makes me
Yeah.
go all kinds of. Sometimes I think there's a lot other ways of making money than doing something public on social media that everyone can have an opinion on, you know.
Yeah. This is
But
the thing. People see this as, really aspirational and an idealistic avenue to
yeah,
go down, but actually there's so many negatives to it. It does take a
yeah.
certain type of person to power through.
Wouldn't change it, but you're right. It takes
Yeah.
a certain kind of person. And I don't know if I was that person. I think I've just created myself as that person, you know. My resilience is a lot stronger.
So this
But
like you say, you've grown as your business has grown as well. You're not the
yes,
same person. So
yeah,
7 years ago or whenever it was,
yeah,
if you had started where you are now, you wouldn't have coped with it. No, no one would. You have to grow as the business grows. Um,
I think as well, when I first started out, I found it really difficult when people didn't agree with me, basically, whatever it
yeah,
was about. And then but now I'm a lot more confident in myself. So in the beginning, nobody knew me, no one cared about me. Everyone thought my LinkedIn methods were stupid and didn't work, and it was against what everyone else was doing, right? So I
yeah,
can kind of see now the pushback. But I was kind of like, why is everyone mad at me? Because I'm just trying to teach people this way. But what I realized is that everyone was just felt threatened, I guess. But I had no
yeah,
evidence that my stuff was good. It worked for me, I had no evidence. But now, 7 years on, made 3 million in revenue. We've got 2,000 paying clients. We've done, got 20,000 people in the free group. We've got 4,000 testimonials. I've got 450 recommendations on LinkedIn. So I've gathered all
mm,
of this evidence
yeah.
that actually is irrefutable in a lot of ways. That so people, I think, not people, but you know what I mean? Like, I think people have stopped trying to fight me on it and decided that, yeah, that seems to work. So if you want to know about LinkedIn, then go and see Helen. So I have a lot less pushback than
But
had
I think
before.
with anything new across the board in life, people will always push back because it's change and people don't like
Yeah,
change. And you're coming in relative newbie to LinkedIn, like you say, you didn't have the
yeah,
experience. You'd just gone in and done your thing. And now you were here sharing it with the world saying, my way is great and it's brilliant. And everything else that everyone else has been doing the whole time LinkedIn has existed is wrong. And you need to come and work with me. So people do always fight change, don't they? But
yeah,
gradually, like you say, because you were so I love the word scrappy, because you were so scrappy, you were
so
putting yourself out
scrappy.
there constantly, you know, people started taking a risk with you, I guess. And, it probably did feel like that, trying it, seeing actually that it was amazing. And then you started gathering that content and that I can't say the word, validity, validate,
Validity. I think
validation,
validation. She
validation,
gives me validity.
validity.
But my confidence comes from evidence now, whereas
Yeah,
before it was kind
exactly.
of like hoping that it was going to work for everybody. It was only really when I'd done, this is what I say to other people, I only really knew my methods worked when I'd done like 100 one-to-ones,
Yeah,
because until then you're like, is this just a fluke? It just works for me. Once I realized it worked for everyone, I was like, now I really am onto something. But
yeah,
again, I tested the idea. I did the £99 thing, which again is something I teach. So I charge £99 for a one-to-one. I charge £500 now, but I'm 7 years into the game, just I mean. But then
yeah,
I charged £99 and I was making great money. I was doing like between 5 and 10 calls a week, making between 500 and £1,000 a week. This is somebody who couldn't afford to buy food. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people get hooked into the 7 figures, 6 figure, 7 figure revenue and just think, actually, what if I could earn £1,000 a week, working 10 hours a week? What would my life change? How would my
yeah,
life change? And for most people, including me, it's great money. It's a great lifestyle business. It's fine. And you're just doing the one thing, doing it really well, and just selling the same thing but to different people, and people getting a result out of it. I think the thing that I've seen the most over the years, because naturally I've become more of a business mentor. You know, people want to talk to me and mastermind days and VIP days and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
much broader than just LinkedIn. But the thing I see is people like over promising. They're trying to, they're trying to sell these huge transformations at such low prices that from the outside, it just seems like ridiculous. Like people aren't going to pay that because it's so cheap, but you're trying to promise the
But
whole world instead of like trying to
nothing
bring those
makes
two things together
yeah,
and, sell something you can guarantee they'll get a result from, something very, very small and very, very specific, and then charge high, because you're going to guarantee they get the outcome. Whereas a lot of people try and promise the world and then, as I say, shit themselves when someone buys it because they're like, oh my God, I've got to deliver the world now. Instead of promising something really
yeah,
easy that they can guarantee and there's a transactional deal and get paid and they're like, great, I know I can do this. And then they give them the world and the
yeah,
client's like, wow, this is amazing, but everyone's doing it. So, yeah,
yeah. So through your journey, you've had some amazing wins and the success has grown and grown and grown. But in business, we all have failures along the journey or
loads.
learning experiences, as I prefer to call them. How how have you come back from some of your biggest failures? What have you learned from those experiences?
So I've definitely had more things flop than fly. I've had more
Mhm.
offers that people haven't bought than I have. Yeah. I've had
Okay.
disasters that I've just quietly got rid of. The biggest thing I've not been able to crack, and I posted about this yesterday, is recurring revenue. And the reason why I've not been able to crack it is because
Mm.
every time I've set something up for it, I've closed it. So I've had memberships that I've closed. I did a WhatsApp thing recently and I just closed it. And I just can't seem to commit to this. People paying me monthly and it means I've got to show up. Whereas my program is like pay once and you're in for life. And I've been running that for 7 years. So it's not that I don't want to commit to things. It's a really interesting one. So I've had
Yeah.
lots of little failures like that. I've had desperately tragic failures on finance people that I've hired that have caused me lots of difficulties and financial difficulties. And what I've learned from that is that even if someone says they are who they say they are and they can do what they say they are, it doesn't always ring true. And that's a really horrible lesson to learn because I
Yeah.
just believe everyone and I trust everybody and I've got a very optimistic, positive nature. So that's quite challenging. Um, so I've certainly learned to be a little bit more guarded, do a little bit more diligence, and really make sure that when I go into work with somebody, whether it's they're working for me or whether it's a partnership, that it's equal. Like we're both bringing the same things to the party. Because I think over the
Yeah.
years, I've given everything to partnerships and to business deals and things like that haven't actually worked out. And I've lost some really good friends to it. So massive regrets, massive regrets. If anyone's listening to this, I'm sure you're not. But if you are, 'cause you probably hate me and you block me. Like massive regrets and very sad that business partnerships and things haven't worked out. So those things have been really difficult. Um,
Mm.
but the thing that I've realized is that you've got to get brave and fail, be prepared to fail every
Yeah.
day. Otherwise, you're never going to win. So you can't
Mm.
everything's duality in it, black and white. You can't have massive success without some level of failure. You can't have loads of people who love you without some people who hate you. You can't have loads of money without paying loads of tax. Like, there's always a yin and
Yeah.
a yang to everything. So
There is,
I
yeah.
think you've got to take the rough with the smooth. I think that life generally it's about 50% great and 50% not so great. So when things
Mhm.
are great, enjoy it, like love it, live it, embrace it, have gratitude for it. And when things are not so great, realize that they'll be all right around the corner.
Yeah. I think with the yin and yang, I think it's so important for people to remember that. And in the early days of business, when you're in that sort of first year of business and something does go wrong and you do have a failure, that can feel all consuming and
Massive. Yeah.
can feel like that is the end of the world and the end of your business. But you bounce back from them, and as I've had my business for coming up to a decade now. You're very similar. The things that we would have classed as the biggest failure going in year 1, we wouldn't even blink at now,
Yeah.
Your viewpoint of what a failure is and how it impacts you completely changes, and it all comes from experience, a growth in confidence. and just realizing that, yeah, you just dust yourself off. Okay, what can I learn from that? It's like with your launch recently that didn't go as you planned. Okay, you've just looked at that. Well, what do we need to learn from that? What's happened? You've
Yeah.
taken those learnings and you've taken action on it. And
Yeah.
that's all that you can do, isn't it? And that's what we all need to do. But I think sometimes, especially in the earlier days of business, you don't see the learning opportunities in it, and you just see the, "Oh, crap," this is.
It's the first, isn't it? So the first refund request you get is the worst. The first
Yeah,
negative review is the worst. The first person who says something about you that you find out about, it's the worst. Do you know what I mean? It's the first launch that nobody buys. Like it's the first are the worst. And then
yeah,
after that, you suddenly become very desensitized to them. And my motto behind the scenes is that people are insane. Now, I feel like because I was in a mental hospital myself when I was 16, I can say that. So
yeah.
we say that behind the scenes because when you work with a lot of people, and my business is primarily people based, yeah, we sell programs to people, human beings who've got their own shit going on, yeah, and everyone's got stuff going on. So
Mhm.
sometimes when you get that email or you get that message, like it's nothing to do with you. Like, and
Yeah,
people just are insane. People just do and say things which I consider to be completely insane, but to them in that moment, that's kind of where they're at right now. And I
yeah,
think understanding that it's not really about you, and you're a time and place. You become part of somebody's life for a short period of time. Usually, people come and go into my life. Some people come and stay in the program for years. It's like lifetime access. Most people come maybe for a year or two, then they kind of drift off, do something else. Maybe they come back and they got something new on. So it's never really about you. But when in the early days, we think it is all
definitely
about us.
feels it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's okay. But that's why having a mentor and having somebody who you admire and look up to actually work with you is really powerful, because there's nothing like, so I've done over 40 launches. So if I'm working with a client on a launch, there's literally nothing I've seen. I've seen, there's nothing I've not seen. Sorry. I've seen everything that could happen.
yeah,
This happened to me, particularly on lives. I've had my daughter fell down the stairs. My daughter's boyfriend stood on a bee. Like we've had the water come through the roof. We've had cats bringing the Christmas tree down. I've done lives from trains, cars. Once it was my sister's wedding, so I couldn't do it at all. And like, there's just loads of things that can and do go wrong in business. But I think
yeah,
if you've got somebody by your side going, yeah, that's fine, that's normal, it happens. It does give you a bit of perspective on things for sure.
yeah, yeah. I think in the space that, you are in, you share so much of your authentic life, and the experiences. I remember on one of the lives, because in the challenge that I did, you used to go live with wine
Yeah,
every night,
still
and
do
you'd,
that.
do you still do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually won a crate of your wine.
It's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely. Got me
Yeah.
through lockdown.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and, there was the doorbell would go or things would happen, but it's just life, isn't it? No one thought, "Oh, gosh, well, Helen's doorbell went, how unprofessional," and, like, stop. And if they do, then they're in the wrong place anyway.
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
there's so much going on around us all the time. We're all busy family people, we have so much going on that you can't expect. Again, it comes down to the expecting perfection,
Yeah.
and it's just not realistic, and to me, not relatable, and I want to work with people that I can relate to.
And
Um,
for everyone who loves the fact that I drink wine on live, we get 3 emails saying that it's outrageous and unprofessional. They'd
yeah,
never want to work with somebody who drinks on a live, and it's the same all the time. But it's like the things that people love about me are also the things that people hate about me. So it's
yeah,
almost like I might as well just be me, and then I'll be happy and I'll be myself. And then some people love me, some people hate me. But I think certainly in the early, when I ran the agency, I was trying to be an agency owner, rather than just being myself. So the
yeah,
best thing about personal brand led businesses is you can literally just be yourself.
yeah, and I think, people need to remember that, because sometimes they try and be what they think their audience want to see, but
Yeah.
that's unsustainable. You can't
Unsustainable
pretend to
for
be
7
someone
years.
else. You need to just be you, and there will be people who don't like you, and that is okay. Like, you
Yeah.
want the people in your world who like you, know you, trust you, and want to work with you, and everyone else can go and find someone else to work with. That's how it needs to be. Definitely don't try and cling on to people that don't really want to be there, because then they're
Yeah.
not your ideal client.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
one of the
yeah,
things that we definitely evolved into, is like, stop trying to convince people that our way
exactly.
is the way to do it. Let's
Yeah,
just do it our way. Some people, the people we need to focus on, the people who want to learn and they want to do it our way,
yeah,
not put our
exactly.
energy into trying to convince people that our way is the best way. if I sit next to someone at dinner and they go, "Oh, I've been on LinkedIn for years, I've got loads of followers and I use it all the time," I just think you've probably got nothing to learn from me then. I
Yeah,
don't want to argue with you about how yours is ways better than mine. I would say there's loads of ways of using LinkedIn, and if it's working for you, great.
yeah,
If you're on my
exactly.
challenge because you want to get more clients, then let's listen to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's all opinion, though, isn't it? And
Mhm.
again, people will come to me and say, "Oh, I've started on doing what you told me, but my brother's told me that I shouldn't be posting like that on LinkedIn." And it's like, well, has your brother made £3 million selling LinkedIn training? If so, like, listen to him. If
Listen to
not,
him.
shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. One last question for you, Helen. Have you ever wanted to quit?
Mm, so many times. Like, I've cried so many times before lives and things like that. And my friends always say to me,
Yeah.
like, how can you be like hysterically crying and then the next minute I see you on a live and everything? So I've definitely felt like it's hard and there's got to be easier ways. That's like my motto is always like, there must be easier ways to make money, right? And I think there
Yeah.
are easier ways to make money. Um, but do you know how I've never really truly wanted to quit? Is because I haven't.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to, I would have, because that's just my nature. So I know that in my heart, I might have said it, thought it, you know, sounded it out. Like I sometimes say to Stu, like, "Oh, again, it must be easy to make money. I'm going to give this up and go and do something else." And I'll just work behind the scenes in a business, and be a CMO and help a business really. And he just looks at me like, "Yeah, yeah." Like, you know very well, you're going to do this, and then you're just going to go straight back in there, and you're going to do your lives and everything. And when things got tough for us financially, which they absolutely did. Actually, we talk about challenges. I say cash flow is a massive thing that not many people talk about in our world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it seems really grown up and boring, and it is grown up and boring, but quite important, as I found out. Um, my accountant said to me, "You'll trade through it," and like that was his answer to it. It was like, "It looks bad, and I know you're worried. You'll trade through it." And you know what we did? We traded
Yeah.
through it, and we're out the other side. And he said to me, he said, "I knew you would, because that's just the way you are." And he's accountant who's worked with, I don't know, over the years, hundreds of thousands of businesses. I guess he can just see it in me that it's like I've literally started it from nothing with nothing. So if we get down to a point where it feels like there's nothing again, then that's okay. We can build from that.
Yeah.
Um, I know that this is a great business that's doing great work. So I'm just going to have to show up even when it feels hard. And I think that again is something that's really kept me sane. Showing up for my business, showing up, adding value. Like when I feel like I want to quit, I look for somebody I can help. And
Mm.
what I get from helping somebody is like oxygen to me.
Yeah.
It's like then I feel like a whole different person. The energy shift that I get from before going on a live to when I finish a live and I've helped hundreds of people on that live is like it's like the best drug in the world. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
like it. So I can't quit because I'm addicted to it. I think that's the answer
I
there.
love that. I say to people, in the beginning, especially when there's a lot of imposter syndrome and, like you say, now you've got that, validation of the evidence that you've gained, but in the
Yeah,
beginning you didn't have that. And I always say, create yourself a folder where you do get nice things said
yeah,
about you or to you, or just put them all in one place. So when you are having one of those down days and you're really struggling for the motivation, go and have a quick flick through that folder, and because it perks you up. It gives you
yeah,
that energy that you might be missing, and then you get, you're ready to move on. And sometimes it's hard. It's just hard, isn't it? It's hard in business. Some days it is just hard to wake up. You just want to sit on the sofa and eat chocolate ice cream all day, but you can't. You've got to go and do your live or do
yeah,
whatever it is. We all have those days, no matter what level of business you're in. And I think, yeah, having easy ways that you can pick yourself up, and give you
yeah.
that motivation again.
I think this comes back down to the energetic stuff that I'm working on. But
Yeah,
again, I was like, who am I to teach energetics? It's not even my thing. I teach LinkedIn strategy, but it's so crucial. And if I look back on the secrets of success or whatever, it's like it's actually doing the things you need to do even when you don't feel like doing them. Showing up when
yeah,
you don't feel like it is the
mhm,
pro move, and committing to it. You want to get paid 10 grand a month, you got to commit to it, like as if you are getting paid 10 grand a month, even if you're not in the beginning. And I think when I feel like I don't want to show up, I think I know that if I don't, somebody out there who needed to hear something from me is not going to hear it, and that's really important to me. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what level you're at or how many followers you've got. If you're showing up consistently and you're putting stuff out there, somebody out there will be watching you and listening to what you're saying. They won't be commenting or engaging. They'll be watching,
It's always the
and it'll be
lurkers.
like you are talking directly to them, and they've
Yeah.
got a connection with you that is going to change their lives. I know they change their lives, but it's going to change their lives. And I think if you just stop showing up, who knows, that person's not going to get what they need. So you've got to think about your ideal clients and how much they need to hear what you've got to say, and sort of make it less about you and more about showing up for your business and showing up for your clients.
Yeah, I love that. You just the way that I look at it is it's just non-negotiable. I
Yeah,
have to make it all non-negotiable, so there's just no argument to be had. I've just got to
I say that. I say, like, if I was
people.
committed to just going to the gym as much as I am to showing up for my business, I'd have a six.
Yeah.
I'm determined to never be broke again, so it's non-negotiable for me. Whereas I don't
Yeah,
mind being a little bit fat, so I might skip a couple of gym days. But like, you choose what your non-negotiable is, right? And for
yeah,
me, it's
exactly.
always moving away from being broke. I know what it's like to not be able to buy food and not be able to fill up your car and have your parents buying your kids shoes and coats and all that. And like, it's not where I want to be. And I know some people are there right now, and hopefully you'll look at me and think, well, if you were there and now you're not, then if I do the things you tell me to do, then we can all move forward together, and we can all have success together. It's not like it's not like I win and you don't. It's like we all win, we all
Yeah,
move forward. So yeah, I think the mission is much more important than my mindset in the moment. It's like somebody out there who can't afford to
yeah,
put petrol in the car needs to hear what I've got to say, so they'll just put a goddamn offer out, use the tools we've got for free.
yeah,
Watch some of my free training, put some offers out on the free platforms that we use, get a sale, and put some petrol in the car, and then next step. Because I think that's really important. I did get advised by a guy that I should stop trying to help broke people, because it's quite hard to get broke people to pay you. And
mm,
I was like, I just can't, because it's 10 years ago me, and I need to
yeah.
help those people, and I know I can help them. So I need to. It's a mission, really.
Yeah, but that's where it goes back to, you do the free guest lives, you do the free podcast, you do or a lot of the free work,
Yeah,
but while they're in that initial situation and they might not be able to afford your £99 thing or your £500 thing, whatever, you
yeah,
know, they can still get great content from you and still start making moves. And then as they get out of that situation, then they can start working with you. And
yeah,
I think that's really important, and to never lose your sort of why and who you're helping.
yeah.
And I think you do that really, really well.
Thank you.
So, Helen, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your authenticity and your openness to share your story with us. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and something that, back in 2020 when I was doing that challenge of yours, I would never have dreamed that we'd be here now. So,
We
yeah,
are.
brilliant. I know, how
I love
funny.
that. Oh, thank you
Um,
so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much to the listeners for sticking with us. I hope you found some really interesting tips and guidance there. If you want to learn more about Helen, where would they be able to find you?
So if you go to the website, which is confusing because it's
Hmm.
helenpritchardonline.com, the top of that website will have the link for the next 5-day challenge. So sign up for the 5-day challenge. Follow me on Facebook. That's where I share all my stuff. Follow me on LinkedIn, and reach out to me. And if you want any of my free stuff, I'll always have something to send you. There's always something I've just done recently, or a webinar, or a masterclass, or a guide, or something. So we can, like Claire said, we can get you started without you spending any money.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I'll put all the links in the show notes as well for you all. But yeah, just thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you all next week.
Thanks.